Dash and Lily is a 1999 film directed by Kathy Bates. This is written by Jerry Ludwig, and we have a cast including Sam Shepard as Dashiell Hammett, Judy Davis as Lillian Hellman, and we also have Bebe Neuwirth as Dorothy Parker. It's because of Bebe Neuwirth that I became aware of this, and then I read the description and thought this could go either way for me. It's a biographical film based on the relationship between writers Dashiell Hammett and Lillian Hellman, and I had heard of neither of them. I had heard of Dorothy Parker, Bebe Neuwirth's character, but I'm not familiar with Hammett and Hellman. So I was keen to watch this to see what I could learn about them, and also it's set roughly in 1930s, 40s Hollywood, the golden era, which is one of my favourite time periods. And I will say that the atmosphere with that was just beautiful, and I really enjoyed that part of the film. With regards to the narrative, I didn't dislike it, but I'm willing to admit that I probably would have got more out of it if I was already aware of the lives of the writers and had some kind of basic knowledge about them. So I did enjoy the development of their relationship and the changes in emotions over time. The passage of time with this was very well handled. It does span quite a few years. But at the same time, I didn't necessarily emotionally connect with the characters, at least as much as I would have liked. So I enjoyed it. I learned some things. It also deals with, there are obviously a lot of conversations about political things at the time, which in itself is always going to be quite fascinating. But with regards to the conversations between the characters, sometimes they were interesting, sometimes not so much. And again, I think that largely just comes down to the fact that I knew absolutely nothing about them. And that doesn't mean that one can't enjoy this if you've never heard of them. But I do think it's one of those biopics where you're going to get more out of it if you're already aware of them, you have some background knowledge, and then this can just enhance that and provide an interesting experience. There are some biopics you can go into with no knowledge and you get this full overview of their life and character. And this one, I feel like a little bit of background information would have been beneficial. But nevertheless, I now feel like I have a better, or even just any understanding of who Hammett and Hellman were. If those names come up again, I will now have some background knowledge provided by this film. Obviously, I took everything with a pinch of salt. I have absolutely no idea how factually accurate it is or how true to their relationship it is, but I'm going to assume that it's mostly accurate. I'm just assuming that because I've not read otherwise. For reference, it has 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb. Granted, that's only across 355 reviews and ratings, which for a film of this age is not a tremendous pool of opinions, but it seems to be well received. So take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt, because I have no background knowledge. I can't confirm if it's accurate, but I do feel like I now have some understanding of the characters and their personalities. Certainly, the time period, I think, was very well represented. We have some other characters, such as Dorothy Parker, who I quite liked. I don't know a tremendous amount about Dorothy Parker, but as I said, I had at least heard of her, and Bebe Neuwirth was great in this. Everybody gave a really great performance, and the conversations about certain current affairs at the time were quite interesting to listen to as well. So, not a bad film. I did like it. I probably wouldn't watch it again unless, for some reason, I suddenly take an interest in Hammett or Hellman and want to explore this from a different perspective at that point. But I did get a bit of an education watching it. I now have a little bit more knowledge than I did beforehand, which is always a good thing with a film of this nature. And in general, I enjoyed the experience. Sure, I wasn't engaged with it throughout. It's not tremendously long. It's about an hour and 40 minutes. But that's just because I couldn't connect with certain things. If it sounds like it might appeal to you, though, if, like me, you've never heard of some of these people and you want to get a basic knowledge, I recommend it with that in mind. Obviously, I can't recommend it, or I can't say whether it's worth watching if you're an existing fan of Hammett and Hellman. Maybe you won't like the portrayal of the characters. I'd be very keen to know what you think if that's the case. But either way, from my perspective, my perspective with very limited knowledge of these characters, I would say it's worth watching. I got a bit of an education. I enjoyed being immersed in the time period. Based on what I was looking for, I got enough out of it, and ultimately, I'm quite happy to recommend Dash and Lily.